started, baby.
What does this mean?
Okay, so this just means there is no stream, or they're not receiving data. So then you kind of like, you wait. This is why I always give myself like 10 minutes of lead time before we officially start. So we are live.
So do I need to get off the internet? I'm still using the
You're on the other one.
Van Buren thing.
You're all good. Yeah, see, now we're good. Got a nice, healthy stream. Okay, so your thing, can you go to YouTube on your thing? We got to share that we're live. Yeah. You want to share on YouTube that we're about to be live with all your people. And I'm going to do it too. Ladies and gentlemen, so we're not we're only 1 minute away from going live. So to everybody that is here, tuned in and ready to rock, thank you for hanging with me and my very special guest, who, although I've said all through social who it is, I'm going to keep it under wraps until we're officially live.
Who could it be?
Who could it be? Go do some social research and you'll find out. Intro. Okay, now everybody who is here hanging with us, do us a favor and share on your social media accounts that we are going live. You should hear a lot of key smacking right now because Marshall and I said his fucking name. There, that worked out well. Let's do this thing. We're both sharing the crap out of this stream. Okay. And y'all know me. I can't spell. I don't even spell check. I just fire things off. They're all here, man. And while we're waiting to go live, I'm just going to say what's up to everyone. Standards here. Ryan Perez is here. Inkings Inc. Altered Ink. Jason Inns. Ram Jam. Marvin Brooks. Madison Smith. Damn, you guys are all here, man. Early, huh? Bunch of early birds. Actually, not that early because it's officially 6. Hotbox Print Studio. Thank you, guys. Thank you, everyone, for coming in and hanging out. And thank you, Mark Jones, for that super chat. I appreciate it, my man. LOL. I don't know what I just did. Mark, what you just did is throw me 99 cents just because you love us. I appreciate it. Oh, fuck. Dude, that's brilliant. You're right. You're right. You're right. When you're right, you're right. Sometimes I get too excited and I don't notice the obvious shit, like the fact that I put his name in the title of the live stream. Sometimes it goes that way.
Blame it on the corona.
I'm blaming it on the coronas for sure, dude. Cool. All right, guys, so we're about to go live. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I'm going to run this intro. Make sure I'm recording the audio. All righty. Let's roll that intro, and we will get started, ladies and gentlemen, in 3, 2, 1, and action. What's going on, Print Fam? Are we in? No.
No.
There we are.
You're filming Batman. What is that?
That's his crotch, bro. What's going on, Print Fam? Are we in? There we are. What's happening, Print Fam? It's your boy Cam, and welcome to the Print Life Live Video Podcast. We have a very special guest with us today. I got the man, the myth, the legend.
It's me, Marshall.
Mr. Marshall Atkinson. I want to thank you, dude, so much for being here.
Pleasure to be here.
I know you're a busy guy.
Well, I pretend to be.
You pretend to be. So do I. It's all good. You guys, he is here to try to help us figure out how to become more efficient in the screen printing industry. But before we do that, I got to run through all of my introduction shit. So let's do that. Let's get that out of the way. We're going to skip over the independent shop news from Facebook because we got the man here. Might as well just dive into all that. And then after that, as usual, we will conduct the live Q&A. Now, you know that I favor the hotline, so please call the 800 number. It's right down here on the screen, somewhere around here. Call it in, leave your message and then direct it at Marshall so that he can answer that question. I'm really hoping that you guys got some good questions for him.
You like doing that so you don't have to read anything?
Yeah, exactly. it's cooler too, right?
Right.
I loved it, bro. And that's pretty much it, guys. I'm going to save the social media reminders for a little bit later. So I'm just going to get right into this thing, dude. So, I mean, I'm familiar with what your background is. But I feel like some of the people watching, they don't know. You know,
Right.
so
Who is this guy?
yeah, who's this dude, man, hanging
Right.
out? Who's this guy, weird guy hanging out with the cool guy?
Right.
Don't know. But we need to share a little bit about you with them. So if you don't mind, man,
Sure.
just share your
You want
story.
the Cliff Notes?
Yeah, well, really, it's the background. How did you
Right.
get into this industry?
Yeah. Okay. So a long time ago, I wanted to go to architecture school, and didn't want to pay for my graduate school.
Mm-hmm.
I have a degree in art, right? And so I started a T-shirt company to pay for grad school.
Okay.
And this was a long time ago, back before computers, when everything was done with chisels and rocks and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
And,
back in the
back in a
60s
long time
and the
ago.
50s. Yeah.
So I would do art on a whiteboard, blue line with the lecture set, rub down letters, and just it took
What the
forever
hell
to
is
do.
it? Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And so anyway,
It's that old shit.
so I had this company print my shirts for me, right? And then this thing came out that revolutionized how everything was done, the personal computer, more specifically Photoshop and all that stuff, right? So I taught myself how to use the programs over a Christmas break.
Wait. So
And-
you were around when this stuff launched?
Yeah, so this was in early 90s.
That's crazy.
And so I started working for this company in January of 1993, which is T-Formation in Tallahassee, Florida, which is where I'm from.
Okay.
And so I became their art director, and I was their art director for 14 years. And that company, when I joined it, was just everybody that worked there. They had one auto. Everybody was in a band with hair down their butt and tattoos all over them, just like you.
It was
And
a cool job.
it was a cool job.
Yeah.
And there wasn't a girl that worked there, and it was just a bunch of dudes.
Foul language.
Yeah,
and
and so it was really fun. And that company grew to be like the #3 screen printer in the country. We were Nike's contract printer.
Wow.
We did stuff for Coca-Cola and Chick-fil-A and Geico and all kinds of big, huge accounts.
Now, at that time, were you a printer or were you in the art department?
I was in the art department,
Okay.
and then, but I was always the guy that was going, hey, there's a better way, there's a thing, let's do it this way, that kind of stuff. And then they promoted me to their vice president of operations, so I ran the whole back shop, and that's how I got into doing sustainability and Lean Six Sigma and process improvement and continuous improvement and that type of stuff. And so my background has always been about getting things to work better.
Right.
And so I worked there just a month shy of 18 years, and I left there in 2010, and I started my consulting company in just beginning of 2011 and started going around the country teaching people stuff. And then
and that was mainly like other shops.
And then it was all about efficiency and workflow and stuff. And I went to a company in Wisconsin called Visual Impressions. I was up there for 2 weeks and taught them a bunch of stuff and gave them, I don't know, 25, 30-page report on how to improve. And then they offered me their job as their chief operating officer, running the whole company.
Again?
And I did that for 5 years.
Yeah.
And I left there in 2016. And then I moved to Phoenix to work for Inksoft to build their help them build their production manager tool. And in January of this year, I left them, and now I'm back to coaching full time. And Inksoft is a enterprise level client now. So I still do their podcast. I still write blogs for them. I'm still helping with that tool, but it's from a client perspective, not as an employee.
Right.
And so my job right now is just working with shops. I've got a whole bunch of shops I do stuff with. About once or twice a month, I'm flying somewhere to go to a shop and help them square stuff away.
It's awesome.
I've written a couple of ebooks, which I'm sure we'll get into later.
Yeah, well, I
And
want to talk about
I've got another one I'm writing, and then I've got a big announcement, if we get to that, about education of training event that I'm going to start doing with a partner of mine. That's going to start in October.
Yeah,
so I got a lot of things going on.
Good. So, but I mean, it sounds to me like from your history, what you are is an efficiency guy. You can spot inefficiencies probably in a way that a lot of others just they can't, or they're not.
Well, I've been in a lot of shops, big, small, whatever, and usually people it all the production efficiency all starts with how an order is put in the system before it even gets to production, and that's usually where I start. I usually, when I go to a shop, I do what's called a process walk, which means pretend I'm an orderer. How does it get put in? I want to see your language. I want to see your notes. I want to see how you give instructions to the art department or purchasing or whatever.
Yeah.
And then there's a lot of discovery, and then there's 8 million questions we ask, and then it's all about, okay, well, here are some ideas. Let's see what'll fit, what'll work. And then sometimes it's people, sometimes it's a process, sometimes it's the equipment. You know, they're making do with really old stuff or outdated stuff or whatever.
Well, that's actually a good segue into something that you and I, the first time I talked with you, there's been a lot of firsts with this man for me. He did my first podcast interview.
Right.
He did my
I
first.
interviewed you though.
You interviewed me.
Right.
He did my first magazine article.
Yeah.
This guy did that. So I figured it was only fitting that he was my first studio visit.
Right.
So I appreciate that. But
that's great.
When we were talking during that time, you had a lot of insight. Remember, I was thinking about automating, and I picked his brain, and I said, dude, I mean, I can't remember the words exactly, but he had these theories on when it was time, and he had very practical theories that I want to talk with you about.
Okay, great.
So
hopefully I can remember what they were.
Well, hopefully it's not a completely different set of info, brother. Could be. Now, you know, these a lot of the people that watch this, some of them are very experienced, some of them have very little experience, but on average, most of their shops, I would say, are probably something similar to what I have here, smaller shop.
Right. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, and when you're looking at a shop like this from your perspective, what are some common inefficiencies that you see with shops of this size?
There isn't any planning. We're not thinking ahead. Like, and I don't want to call you out, but
call anyone out.
We're
saying generals.
Think about what's going on with your shop. Are you looking further than the next 2 weeks out for sales, for production, for what's going on? In most shops, they got horse blinders on. They're only thinking about today is Wednesday. They're thinking about what's due Thursday and Friday, but they aren't thinking about Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday.
Right.
They're not thinking about August. They're not thinking about what's going on. And typically what happens is we wait until, oh shit, we're out of work.
Yeah.
And that's when the sales crunch happens, and we got to start, it's a flurry of emails going out. Hey, let's do a sale. I know, we'll bring some stuff in.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then that never works.
Right.
It's because it isn't planned. It's just you pulled it out of your butt. Right? So one of the things that I think a lot of shops need to do is they need to take a breath, right? And just analyze their situation and start with some basics. Write a business plan, right? So a business plan.
That's the first thing he told me.
Right, is write a business plan. And the reason you want to write a business plan is think about, I don't know where everybody is in your audience, but if you've ever fired a rifle or a gun or shot darts in a bar or used a bow and arrow or a paper airplane, right? If you want to hit your target, you have to aim at it, okay? You can't just wave stuff around gangster style, okay? You might occasionally hit something, yes.
Yeah.
Because that's what happens, right? And maybe not what you want.
Right.
Okay, and that's what happens also, which is why a lot of shops get the wrong customers. Right, and so we spend a lot of time being busy, not busy being profitable.
Well, I'm going to interject there because that brings up an interesting topic in regards to niches. So you're talking about marketing and thinking of the future.
Right.
As Marshall Atkinson, how would you, or what advice would you give to a small shop in defining what an actual niche is? I think sometimes people are confused about what a niche is.
Well, it's okay. So it's your sliver of the pie, right? So think about, everybody wants to be the best, right? But who are you marketing to, right? Who is your sliver of the pie? Are you marketing to schools or to rock bands, to streetwear, to athletic stuff, or do you do businesses, bars, restaurants, B2B stuff? Do you have your own apparel line you're printing for? Okay, those are all different problems.
Right.
Those are all different customers. They all have different wants and needs and pain points. But you know what a lot of shops do is they market to all of that the same way. Right? So talking to that rock band the same way you talk to that high school, you're not going to get the results you want. Using the same imagery, the same sale, the same everything. So it's like one of these things where when I look at shops and how they do stuff, a lot of their inefficiencies come from they're trying to cram that square peg into the round hole, and they're not really aligning with what their customers' needs are. They've never stopped to ask them. They don't know what is the good shirt blank or the design or the print location or what do they really need and that kind of stuff. And they spend a lot of time spinning the wheels.
That brings up another interesting thing about when you focus on a specific niche. Let's say it's the sports apparel industry or whatever.
Right.
You are able to systemize your shop to handle that type of product. Whereas if you're dealing with a little bit of streetwear, a little bit of sports apparel, it's harder to create a system, right, that works efficiently within that particular niche. Now you can expand niches later.
It's no problem to do multiple things.
Right.
Okay. But the challenge is that people are usually time limited, right? And I hear this all the time from people. How come you don't market? Well, I just don't have the time. Well, you don't have time to go get sales.
Right.
Right. So, but there's plenty of ways to do that. You know, you can outsource that. You can hire marketing firms. You can hire a virtual assistant. You can hire people to do this for you. And so when I talk to shop owners, one of the first things we usually talk about after we've had that business plan discussion is you need to be working not in your business, but on your business. So every single day that you're cleaning screens or you're printing, how are you developing the relationship with that $100,000 client down the road? You know, and so that's why nobody has time, is because they're doing things. So I'd rather guys like you or maybe your audience, I'd rather see them working on $15,000 an hour tasks than $15 an hour tasks.
Yeah, I think the majority of us. This I've tried getting out of that. This is where the majority of the small shops get bottlenecked, and this is where the struggle begins. And then for a lot of us, it's like, how the fuck do we pull ourselves out of this?
Right. Well, use apps.
Yeah.
You use you use what you can. You know, you might not be perfect at it, but you have to budget time for it. So a real simple thing to do is, I'm a big fan of Google. I love Mother Google.
Yes,
right?
you do.
So I have Google Calendar, okay? And on that calendar is color-coded time slots of everything that I'm doing.
Yeah.
Okay. So here's an hour I'm writing this. Here's an hour and a half I'm making phone calls. I'm doing this. I'm doing this. I'm doing this.
Yeah, I've noticed that he even sends you an email to basically sign into his calendar so that you allot your time to him.
Yeah,
you're very good at time management.
I never ever.
And he was here early.
Yeah, I never ever do the back and forth ping pong with what time can you come in. Well, Tuesday at 9 work. No, I got this thing, whatever.
Yeah.
I use an app called Calendly, okay, which is a free app. I actually do the pay version because I'm at a different level. But they have a free, it's free, okay, and then you can have people, it's a link, grab a time slot on my calendar that's open. Of course, you can block off time.
Sure.
And then so if you're a small shop and you only want to receive sales, people coming into your shop, let's say you're doing sales, and I know small shops that they do all their marketing and sales and stuff on Mondays and Fridays, and they print Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, which is the meat of the week. And that way they're not trying to talk and sell somebody while they're trying to print.
Yeah, I've started doing something similar.
Okay, so, but if you use an app like this, that means that you can manage your time better, and so you're not double dipping, and you're not going crazy with trying to do too many things at once.
What's the name of that calendar app?
It's called Calendly.
Calendly. I'll link it in the description of this live video on YouTube.
So it's like calendar, except the AR is LY instead.
Okay. All right, cool. Yeah, it's actually really useful, and I could even see utilizing that with clients that call up. You send them an email, tell them to put this, lock them in. Yeah. That way you can manage your time more efficiently. A lot of us small shops, that is the challenge, and that really holds us from going from this stage to this stage.
So what you want to be doing is working harder. I mean, it's harder. You're working smarter, not harder. I can't talk today, dude. And so the Calendly link allows you to
watch one of my live feeds and watch me just stumble.
The Calendly link allows you to do that, because if you go to my webpage, right, you can get a call with me, right? Yeah. You click the button and it takes you there, and you pick what works for you. And I'm in Arizona, as you know, because we live in the same city.
Yeah.
But I get calls all the time from wherever, Texas and New England and Florida. And so it's different time zones, and it shows up in their time zone. So you don't even have to worry about that if you do more than just in your area.
So I love that. So I think that I mean, if we're trying to stack up tips here, I would say tip number 1 from Marshall is to start managing your time. That's something that you see a lot of shops just don't do well.
Yeah, and they don't know how long things take.
That's
right?
That's a tough
how
one.
long does it take to code a screen,
right,
or to clean a screen, or to set up a job, or to make a quote, or design something, or whatever, right? So if you're trying to figure out your time management, you should time yourself to know how long each of these steps take. So if you know that you've got to clean 15 screens, okay, well, is that 5 minutes a screen, or 10, or 15, or 20? How slow are you at it, right?
Yeah.
So how long do you need?
Right.
Okay, and then if you're thinking about that, if that's going to take an hour and a half, right, maybe it's better to bring a temp in, okay, and then they can do that, and they can clean the shop a little bit and do some menial work that you need in the shop, and then you can make those important sales calls, and that's worth the $10 an hour or whatever.
Right.
And yeah, you had to pay somebody to do it, but guess what? You're making more money doing something else.
Right, but in your world, you wouldn't just say, "Oh, go hire a temp." You do numbers, you crunch numbers, and you put things in to make sure to make sure that your time would be best spent doing this. And that's really what you advocate is putting the numbers down and understanding.
Well, what is your time worth?
Right.
So and you don't have to say this on your show, but what is Cam's time worth per hour?
Well, he's trying to get to a mil per hour.
A mil per hour.
So we're working towards that number.
Okay. So for shop owners out there, or even managers that are listening, what is your time worth per hour, right? So if your time worth is higher than the value of the task that needs to be handled, see if you can delegate that off. That's either by handing it off to a person or to an app like Calendly, right? So every single time you have to do 2 emails back and forth to get a meeting with somebody, when you can they can click the link and get something that's on your calendar that makes sense, then that's time well spent.
Yeah.
And so the other, like, I use a lot of apps like that. So I use, for instance, for my social media, I use an app called Buffer, Buffer, and I have all of my social media stuff scheduled out. Usually it's a week to 10 days, but like during December, it's the whole damn month, because I want to be having fun with my family and not worrying about Twitter, right?
Yeah.
So I schedule everything out. I'll have 4 weeks of posts all scheduled out, right? Or when I'm on vacation, I'm not worrying about it. But so what happens is these posts come out automatically, and I'm not, and I can assign the time. It's one app controls all of my stuff. So it's like spokes from a wheel, right?
It's like similar to Hootsuite, right?
It's exactly like Hootsuite. Yeah. I don't like Hootsuite because I think it's ugly. I like
Buffer aesthetically, Buffer
because
looks
aesthetically, I like it better.
Does it really? I'm gonna have to look at that.
I'm a white space guy.
So you're a believer in chunking too, like where you'll create enough content, or you'll create content one day of the week, and then you'll use Buffer to spread it over the course of the week.
Yeah, so I usually build when I'm drinking coffee on a Sunday morning is when I load Buffer up.
And do you see a lot of like small shops like maybe spending too much time on those areas of social media where they could have been chunking it?
Well, I see a lot of people posting, what are you doing during the day on Facebook, and why are you posting that?
Right.
I see a lot of that. How come they're not working?
Who's doing that?
I don't know.
It's not me.
But I like to looking the groups to see what the problems are, because I get a lot of blog article ideas on that, right?
Makes sense.
And so so it's like one of these things, I kind of monitor that a little bit, but I'm not doing it all day.
Right.
Like I'll go in for a couple of minutes and poke around, and then
it's a trick.
That's it.
I'm starting to use the group now for tutorial topics that I want to film in the future. It's smart.
Yeah. So you ask a question,
figure out the question.
But I'm kind of a ninja. I just kind of like, okay, he's bitching about that, and I'll just write it on my calendar.
Yeah.
Right. And currently, I have all of my blog articles on my media calendar all the way out to like think it's like February of next year.
Damn, dude, good for you.
Already like written out of what the topics are.
Good
but I'll switch it up if something comes up.
Yeah.
But I like to know that because I assign everything in these little chunks of time on my Google Calendar so I can plan it out.
That's sick.
Okay,
Yeah.
and so
Now, how strict are you
like
with adhering to that calendar? Are you pretty good? With it?
Pretty good.
And I think
stuff comes up all the time where somebody has an emergency or I got to take some. It's drag and drop and move it to another time slot. It's okay.
Right. Well, the printing industry, it's funny because I've heard a lot of stuff about calendaring and this and that. And maybe it's just an owner thing, but you're like, okay, this is my task today. This is what I'm working on. But because you don't have somebody else to handle the phone calls or the emails, you get pulled away. And now your mind is split between 2, 3, 4 different tasks, and you can't even do one well.
Okay, so emails, I only answer emails 3 times a day.
Same here.
I do it in the morning, okay, just after lunch or just before lunch, and then right at the end of the day. That's it. So and so I'm not looking at emails all day. I don't, and because they're never really super urgent. And if they are, they're going to call you.
They always call.
Okay.
If it's a big deal, they call.
Right. So it's okay to wait a couple hours to answer the email. And actually, most of the stuff in your inbox is crap anyway, which you should be unsubscribing to, right?
Or filtering.
Yeah, or filtering. So it's like one of these things where I just make it a rule not to look. And because I'm trying to do other things. Even when I was running shops, I did it the same way.
Right.
And so I like having a schedule, and like efficiency for shops is the same way.
Yeah.
Like, so if you want to get into that, let's talk about that.
That's where we want. That's where we're trying to steer this thing.
Okay. So to me, the best way to run your shop is to build a schedule today for what you're running tomorrow.
Okay.
Okay. And so you have to have exactly what you're going to print, and I like it in order that you're given to each press crew. If you only got one press, it's pretty easy. But if you've got 3 or 4, right, you want to give each group what they're supposed to do, and you want it in order. And I'm very.
Do you mean in order typically by delivery date?
No, in order of how they're going to, in order that they're going to print it.
Okay.
So what I want to do is by lunch today, everything I'm doing tomorrow is scheduled. And then by schedule, what that means is I go out and get the shirts, I get the screens, I get the inks, and what I do is I line it up in order that I want it to be printed in, okay? And then when tomorrow morning comes, it's just execution, and nobody's going, what are we doing? I need a job to print, or hey, I need this 286 blue ink, and I need it mixed. It's all done for you.
And do the top level shops that are running at the highest levels of efficiency in the screen printing world, is that the kind of thing that they're doing the day before?
Everybody does it this way. And what they're doing is they're assembling stuff, and my word for it is kit packing. Okay, so what I want is everything assembled and lined up, okay, and in order, and that way it's just executing it.
Gotcha.
Okay, and the rule, there's some rules to this. For the order that you want is rush, because somebody paid for that. Right? Or that's that critical job where you're dead if you don't print it or whatever, right? So I just call it rush.
Okay.
Rush, late, right? Because you can't get that job later. They're just going to get mad.
Right.
So do rush because they paid you, then late because you're in trouble.
Okay.
Then it's today's stuff, and then it's tomorrow's stuff.
Gotcha.
You can't do tomorrow's stuff before these other 3 things. And so what happens a lot of times is somebody makes a call that they want to print this job because of some reason.
Right.
Even though it's not due till Tuesday, we're going to do it today. And what happens is
oftentimes that call gets made because it's easier. They don't want to deal with the art.
Or it's got sleeves and you don't want to change the boards out or whatever.
Yeah.
But what happens is there's a domino effect that happens that causes the late job to get later. That critical job didn't go. You don't get to today's job, so that becomes a late job for tomorrow because you're printing something that was supposed to go next Tuesday today.
Right,
okay?
Dude,
so it's a huge issue, and so it's a giant no. Okay.
And do you see that happen in a lot of shops too, all the time?
And so what happens is the other thing is you're late with stuff, right? And you don't address the lateness. So what happens is you don't stay till 10 o'clock at night or work on Saturday or whatever you got to do.
Yeah.
And those late jobs just keep getting later and later and later and later. And then you never get to any things. So what I recommend is you do the rush jobs first
Okay.
and get a critical out of the way stuff.
Yep.
Right? So you're not waiting till 4 o'clock to start that job.
Right.
You're doing it the first thing you walk in.
No matter how complex, no matter how many shirtboard change outs, that's got to be
you
done.
do that first. And then you do the late jobs and get them done.
Same principle, no matter how complex.
And then you do today's work.
Yeah.
And then if all that's done, then you can work on the future stuff. Okay?
Love it.
And it's really important that it happens that way because that keeps to your schedule. And a lot of people, a lot of shops don't know there's two things that you have to understand when running a shop and keeping to a production schedule. One is to know your capacity, right? The other is to know your velocity. So your capacity is how many things can we do today, right? So typically, you have 1,000 impressions or 5,000 impressions or 10,000 impressions, whatever that is, well, how many presses that you do, right? So whatever that number is, what is it? How many jobs is that?
Yeah.
That's your average, okay? So when you're 140% above that, right, you can't keep dogpiling stuff on that without making some changes, and a changing being working late, so overtime,
right,
or contracting it out to another printer, or switching that job out for this job because it's a better paying job, or it's more important, or it's the same client and they need this one first, or whatever. That's how you keep to that schedule.
Right.
And the other thing that a lot of shops don't understand is their actual velocity with real numbers. So how long does it take you to set up a screen per minute? What is your average? Most shops that don't measure, when we start measuring, they think they're 4 or 5 minutes a screen, but in reality, when we do the math, they're around 8, 9, 10.
Right.
Okay.
Because you have to account for the walk between the one station, and you have to account for all of that into that time.
But if you pulled all that stuff together and all your screens are sitting right here, your screen printer should never be in the screen room looking for screens. Right. Okay, ever. That's bad management. You want the screens right there next to the guy. So all he's doing is setting up, printing, taking down, setting up. It's rinse and repeat all day long. He never goes and looks for anything. If that happens, okay, you're going to be way faster without even changing anything than you were the day before.
But let's kind of rewind that back to the because everyone starts somewhere. So let's rewind it and talk about that one-man operation out of his garage that has his sights set on maybe just doing what I'm doing.
Right.
Or
sure.
So what does he do? What does that man do to get, because he's a one-man show.
Right.
I mean,
well,
can you always hire someone else? Is that always the answer?
You can hire people, but if you're just a one-man show and you want to be a one-man show and you don't have the money or whatever to get help, okay, you need to plan and organize yourself. So, and I know manual shops where they do all of their screens and artwork and sales on Mondays and Fridays, and they print on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. Okay, so they're doing their production on specific days, and they're doing the other tasks on specific days, and that way they can handle their stuff, and they don't lose that working mojo, right? You can get when you're in the groove and working, right? You don't get interrupted, right?
Gotcha.
And so they do it that way. So they have office hours. They do. Customers aren't allowed to come in unless they're by appointment. Okay, when they're printing, right? So it seems weird.
Yeah.
Okay, but this is a good strategy. If you find yourself distracted and get interrupted all the time, change it up. Okay, change it up a little bit. And so it might not work for everybody, but I know it works for some people.
Sure.
So,
but then, they've been doing that for a while, and now they're maybe they've been saving money. They've probably been a little profitable. Usually, when you're a one-man show, you actually make a little chunk of change. But now they're ready to hire their first person.
Sure.
How does the printer? How does he determine that it's time? From what you've seen.
Well, I would look at. Or
she, he or she.
I was just talking with a shop earlier today about this. So take out a legal pad and start writing down all the things that you hate doing.
Okay.
Okay. I hate washing screens. Okay. Well, that's the first thing you need to hire for. Right. I'm a crappy designer. Okay, well, then we can outsource that too, right? So you start writing down the things that you don't know how to do or you don't want to do or whatever. These are the things that you want to give up. Okay, and then when you start giving this stuff away, what you'll find is you'll have more time for the things that you're really good at. Maybe you really like to print.
Right.
Maybe you hate printing. I don't know. So it's like you have to decide on what is, I don't know, let's just call it a poker game, right? What chips are you going to bet on? Or roulette. That's probably a better analogy.
Yeah.
So what numbers are we going to put our chips on, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to put any chips on the screen printing. I mean, the screen washing thing, because frankly, nobody likes to do that anyway. It's like doing the dishes, right?
Yeah.
So let's just get somebody to come in and they can do that one day a week, and we'll just have a big pile of screens and they blow through them all.
Gotcha.
Because at a certain size shop, you only got 30 screens to do a week anyway.
Right.
So that's one day's worth of work. Just have that guy do it. Maybe they come in on a Friday or a Saturday, or maybe that's some college kid who comes in the mornings and he only works 2 hours a day.
And I think that makes sense, especially as an independent shop. You can consider doing it that way because then you can just test and see if you can handle paying that guy. Just one day a week, you can determine really quickly if it's something you can swing, and that's your first step, your first hire.
Well, think about, and here's the way to look at it is, what do you pay yourself?
Yeah.
What is your time worth, right? So let's just say you're paying yourself, I don't know, $20 an hour, right? So cleaning screens, can you find somebody for $12 an hour to do that? Okay, well, guess what? You just saved $8.
There you go.
Okay, and so to think about what your time is worth, and if you had to give up that thing you hate doing anyway, and you save money doing it in your brain, right? Even though it's money going out, now that 2 hours or 3 hours or 6 hours you're spending doing that task, you can be on the phone getting a client, or designing that thing, or printing some shirts, or working on your website because you know it sucks, or whatever you want, right? You could be doing the stuff that you really need to get done, not doing the minor things that you don't like doing.
Little shit. Yeah, that sounds good. I think that's good advice. Yeah, and it kind of does lead into because you kind of mentioned like, well, the cost always comes up, and I think I've seen post after post after post, and it's really hard to explain on video or audio how someone determines what they should be charging, where they need to go, all these kind of things. Can you think of a way right now, just
I can tell you how they
talk about
shouldn't be doing it.
Okay, let's do that.
They absolutely should not be doing the average of all the shops around me method.
Right.
Okay. Because that never works.
Right.
Okay. Because guess what?
I can speak to that.
Your costs are different than that guy's costs, and different than that girl's costs, they're different than that huge shop that you're never going to compete with costs. Okay. So if you get price lists from all this stuff and average it, and then even worse go, I'll be 10% below that. Okay. Guess what? You're going to be out of business in a year or two.
Yeah.
And it's because your costs are different than all of that. What you need to be doing is using your real costs. Okay. What are your real costs? And if you don't know what the real costs are, you need to be writing a business plan and doing that research and figuring it out. And what I can tell you is shops that just start off, their cost per impression are really super high because they don't have any work. Okay. Once you start getting work, your cost per impression is going to drop because it's based on you're averaging out amongst all the work. Right. So
your total impressions for the month essentially take the cost lower.
So it's your same overhead. It's the same light bill. It's the same. You had to buy the ink. You had to buy the shirts. You had to buy all this stuff. Right. All that is, well, not shirts and ink, but all your overhead and stuff is always the same. Right. So, so one of the things is when you do more work, the cost for that part of your business drops considerably, and that means your cost per impression is going to be way less.
Right.
Okay, so where a lot of shops get confused is I think they don't understand what all their costs are.
Yeah.
Okay, and so
this almost sounds like step number one to pricing your shop properly.
Right.
Spreadsheet, Google.
Yeah. So yeah, you could do a spreadsheet, okay, if you want to. I have an ebook for that, and we can talk about that later.
Actually, no, if we're talking about it.
Okay, so I have an ebook called Price for Profit that I've already built a spreadsheet, and it's already got automated formulas and stuff, and all you have to do is put your costs in it, and and understand what you're doing with following along with the exercises of the book.
Okay.
And what it does is it calculates everything for you automatically and gives you your cost per impression because the formulas are already written in it. And all you got to do is just put your numbers in.
Where would they find that?
It's on my webpage, which is atkinsontshirt.com.
I'll link that in the description of this video as well.
And there's a shop button. Just click shop, and then you'll see all my ebooks are right there.
Okay, cool. And so, like, you've been working on this for a while. You as a shop, you have to input those numbers. You have to do the research to actually become a real viable business that will succeed.
So, like the ebook, what I like to see is 3 years worth of numbers. 5 years is better. But let's say you're a new shop and you don't know anything.
Right.
Okay. Well, then you do a really good job of estimating what these numbers are going to be. And the only way you're going to know that is by talking to suppliers, understanding what your costs are. So what is an average gallon of ink? How much ink do we need to buy? What is my light bill going to be? Am I in my mom's basement, or am I in the garage, or I got a strip mall thing, or I'm actually paying rent somewhere? So the ebook has 4 basic things that I want you to track. The first one is your overhead. So overhead is your rent, it's your mortgage, it's your utility, not utility bill, it's your insurance payment, it's your website, it's your telephone, it's what you pay yourself in salary. It's all the stuff that's really a fixed number every month or thereabouts, because there's some fluctuation.
Not hourly employees, just salaried.
It's machine payments, that kind of stuff.
Okay.
I like to do salary employees in the overhead because they're the paycheck is always the same.
It's fixed.
It's fixed.
Yeah.
Okay. Then there's labor, which is, what you pay Jesse, right? What you might pay other employees, right? So that's in your labor. So that's regular plus overtime. Then there is your consumables. So consumables is your ink and emulsion and press wash and Band-Aids, and you went to Lowe's and bought a mop. I mean, whatever. It's all that, right? So whatever you're buying, it's office paper, it's paper clips, it's a magic marker, it's razor blades, it's every single thing you're buying for your shop. Okay, that's in that consumable bucket.
Right.
Okay, and then there's energy, which is your natural gas, if you have those dryers, electricity, sewer, and water.
Gotcha.
Okay, and then I also include the 5th bucket, which is what I call the profit bucket, which is if I wanted to make $50,000 at the end of the year or $10,000 at the end of the year, okay, I'm going to divide, everything is divided up by how many impressions that we're printing. So that's how we're going to figure out our cost per impression, okay? We're going to add all these numbers up, and we're going to, so let's say it's, $20,000 for the month, and they're divided by, I'm crappy at math, but 50,000 impressions, right? So what's that going to be for the cost per impression? That's going to be, right? So the profit bucket is just about you're setting that goal, and you're going to be adding to that a little bit. So maybe 3 cents or 5 cents or 10 cents for every single impression you print goes to that.
So you add it to your thing just as like profit. It almost works like that profit first principle in a lot of ways.
So what you're doing is, sorry, my headphones are
They start hurting, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So so it's kind of like what you're doing is if anybody's automatically put money in a savings account with their paycheck, that's what essentially you're doing. So
it's smart to apply that to your pricing.
So so what you're saying is I'm taking a nickel, and an impression is of it's not how many colors, it's location. So a 3-color front, 6-color back is 2 impressions. So it's events, it's production events that you're doing.
Yeah, that's really all that matters at the end of the day, right?
So it's a macro view of your business. It doesn't matter how many colors and whatever. Don't get hung up on that. It's just about, you had to burn screens, so it's a macro view of you had to buy some mesh, you had to buy some frames, you had to buy the emulsion, okay, and then it's divided by the units of work. How many impressions are you having? So what I want you to get is the total cost for all that, and then track the amount of work you're doing. Okay, and then that's going to divide together, and you're going to see what your cost per impression is.
Okay, so you don't count, but you need to be counting your impressions per month to figure out.
That's your work. So guess what?
Work, yeah.
If you don't have any work, your cost per impression is through the roof because you've bought all this stuff.
Right.
If you're super busy, your cost per impression is going to be much lower.
So it's a sliding scale that's constantly adjusting.
It's a roller coaster.
Right. Okay.
Right. So what you're going to see is. And it depends on your geography and your market, okay? What you'll see is certain times of the year, your costs are much higher because you're in Arizona and you got to run the air conditioning.
Right.
Or you're in Wisconsin and you got to have the heat on, right? So there's certain times of the year that certain parts of these are going to be higher or lower than others.
Right.
And also it's seasonality with your market, right? So during the summer, schools aren't buying anything, right? But they are in August, they are in September. Right, so it's like one of these things you could see, it could go and then go up, right? So what you want to do is you want to use this to plan. If you've got 3 to 5 years worth of history, you can see and you can graph all this stuff, and you can plan. Hey, we've been a steady average of 8% better every year. So next year. We did, I'm just using a number, we did 100,000 impressions. So next year, if we're 8% better, we should be doing 108,000 impressions.
Right.
Right? So that should go up. But what happens if it's big numbers, 16%, 25%, 50%? Maybe you're just starting out. So you want to look ahead to stuff and understand, well, guess what? If I've only been doing 1,000 impressions a month, what's it going to look like when I start doing 10,000 impressions a month?
Right.
Or 1,000 impressions a day?
Right.
So, and then the reason why you can't use somebody else's price list is because you're thinking 1,000 impressions a day sounds like a lot. A month. I mean, 1,000 impressions a month, it sounds like a lot. Well, there's a lot of shops, that's what they get before 8 o'clock.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
and so you're in your average of all the price lists around me, you're using that guy's price list. You'll never get to that. Right. You can later, but right this second now, using that guy's price list is very foolish.
Yeah, but this is where the question with every single printer comes up, because I just saw this question the other day, and he asked, I can't remember which one of you it was, sorry, but he goes, dude, I'm a dollar cheaper than the guy down the street. How the is he making any money?
Right.
And it's almost like a catch-22. It's a conundrum that every small printer's trying to figure out.
How are they so much cheaper? Well, the shop I ran, I used to buy ink in 50-gallon drums. I bet my ink is cheaper than yours.
It's the volume.
Okay, so it's like one of these things where you can't compare yourself to that guy, and you shouldn't position yourself against that guy. A better way of doing it is trying to figure out the value that you're trying to bring.
Dude, that segued perfectly.
Yeah, well, I didn't see your notes.
Segued perfectly.
But the value you're trying to bring, because he might be cheaper, but guess what? If your artist kicks their ass, you're getting the work. Because art sells, okay? As a former art director, art sells. That's what you want. Better art will always outdo things. And then also, do you offer delivery? Do you offer a free web store? Do you what other intangibles? So the thing that when you write that business plan, which I hope you guys are doing, when you write that business plan, the thing that you got to understand first isn't what you're trying to sell.
Right.
Right? It's the pain point of your customer. What do they want resolved? What will they align with the most? What would, if you offered that, they would crave it, and price doesn't even matter anymore. Okay, because they're craving what you're offering. Okay, so I read this.
Hey, what? Google, shut up, Google.
So
it's Google.
Hey,
Alexa.
Alexa hates you.
She does.
So the thing, I read this quote the other day, and I used it today actually, which is, quit trying to sell quarter-inch drill bits and start trying to sell quarter-inch holes.
All right.
Okay? So don't sell the thing, the print.
Right. Sell
the results. That's what you sell. Okay? So don't sell that I can do a print. Well, so what? Everybody can do a print.
Yeah.
Okay? It's the result that you're selling. The fact that, let's say you're doing, you're trying to get that bar gift shop business, right? So if you can offer a design that will sell out every single day, right? It won't matter what you're charging the bar for the shirt because they're making money on it.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's like one of these things where, is that something you can do? And if not, why the hell not?
Right.
Find some, if art is going to sell, find the artist. And even if you're paying that guy $1,000 for the art, if you made $100,000 on that gift shop client with that guy's artwork, that $1,000 you spend for the artwork is way worth it.
Right.
So, so it's just a matter of thinking in bigger terms than, am I a nickel? I need to be a nickel cheaper than the other guy, which is where that rabbit hole where a lot of people go.
Yeah, and I can speak to that personally, and I've spoke with them many times, so they know the story. But I basically went into that exact category. I fell in that category, and it's when I talked to you the first time is when I changed my tune.
And what did I tell you?
You basically told me what you just said here, that you've got to start selling value, and I think it's interesting. Having a consultant that's not directly involved with what you're doing, even if it's just someone that has a YouTube video and they go, well, you need to do this and this and this, because they get a bird's eye view, and sometimes it just takes somebody going, dude, why aren't you selling it on value? Why do you keep focusing on price? And I can speak to the fact that since I've changed and we've started trying to really sell this as almost more of like an art studio with hand printed, the clients are coming. And the right clients are coming. So I do 100% agree with you.
Yeah.
When you say that.
So earlier, before we started this thing, I was telling you something I heard or read. I can't remember where it came from. But if you don't get that wince when you give somebody a quote, you're not charging enough.
See, it's an interesting.
And so it's like one of these things because they'll give it a wince, and then you okay, I understand why it's that much. I'll go ahead and pay for it.
Yeah,
right?
And it's important. I think this is where a lot of new business people get caught because they're just, the no's are so terrible. That wince actually scares them. But I think that's really good advice. You need to become comfortable and understand that you need them to almost go, oh shit. But you overcome that by selling value that maybe you weren't thinking of before.
Think about other industries, right? And so analogy I use a lot is there's like the Four Seasons Hotel, right? So they have clientele that books at the Four Seasons, right? They don't care what the Red Roof Inn is charging.
Right.
Okay. So it's like one of these things where they're looking at the Four Seasons type of clients that are happy to spend $600 a night for a hotel room. Okay. So what I'm telling screen printers out there is when you write your business plan, okay, don't worry about those tire kicker low ball people unless that's who you want to get, right? So if you want people who are going to spend a certain amount of money and you're going to make a certain amount of profit, figure out how you're building your business plan to solve their problems and get you to align with what they need and what they want, and they're more than happy to pay you whatever you're charging. That's the secret.
That is the secret. But as we talk, I start coming up with these questions. I have to think how to phrase this question because it's important that I get this right. Every shop they're going to come to a point where they're going to move from one thing to another. They're going to transition or pivot, whatever the fuck you want to call it.
Right.
But how does that happen? When does that happen? When do you go from the guy that's running a manual or two to a shop that's running 3 or 4 automatics that is now has so many impressions per month? But how do they? And because I get this question, this is the most prominent question in any group.
Well, a manual printer, on average prints. Because it just depends on what the job is.
Sure.
But let's just call it 60 impressions an hour.
There you go.
Okay. Well, when you have 2,000 impressions a day to do, you can't do that with a manual.
Right.
Okay. So at a certain time, it's so painful. The amount of work that you have, the only way to get it done is with an automatic press.
To automate.
Okay. But with that comes a whole nother host of headaches. And so it's, but in the meantime, there are things that you can do. Okay, you can outsource those big jobs, right? You can have it. There's plenty of contract printers. I bet some of these people out here are contract printers. You could do a speed table, right? You know what that is?
No.
Well, you have one guy load, the other guy prints.
Oh, we do that all the time.
Yeah.
You call it a speed table?
Yeah, whatever. So whatever the name is.
Yeah.
So what happens is instead of 60 an hour, you're getting 120 an hour.
Yes.
Okay. So it's like one of these things where it's twice as fast because you're working at the same time.
Right.
Okay. So that's another way you can increase your speed. Okay. But at a certain point, even that won't be enough. Okay. So you can get more manual presses, right? You can. So one of the things that probably you should look at is the size of your orders. So if all your orders are a case or less, probably don't need an auto. You just need more manuals. Okay.
It's an interesting notion too.
Well,
yeah.
So because a manual is way cheaper.
Right.
Right. So you could have like, see, for all your printing is 48-piece jobs. Okay. And there's nothing wrong with that. Okay. Get 4, 5, 6 manuals where it's a printer on one dryer with a catcher.
Yeah.
Okay. Because when you do an auto, you need a press operator and a puller and a catcher. Okay. And then you have to have that for each auto. Okay. So guess what? That's triple the labor. Right. And labor, as we all know, is the #1 expense in your entire shop is labor. Right. So unless you have the work coming in to, and not to mention the 200 grand for the press and the dryer and stuff.
Shit, yeah, man.
Right, so
plus the infrastructure to
plus the 3-phase electricity, and then you need to have 200 more screens, and then you need so it's on and on and on. There isn't just, hey, I'm going to buy this auto and all my problems are solved. No, your problems just started.
Yeah, and he's not. And you're not. I know you're not advocating not getting an auto, but you said something.
Autos are great.
You said one thing to me when I asked you, because I met Marshall when I've said this to these guys before. When I was getting ready to drop some dough on an auto, I was knee deep in it, and I asked you, and he said, dude, it's not time to automate until you have a business plan. That's what you told me.
Yeah, you need one.
Yeah, because, and I think now as I think about it more, what you're saying here, it's because with a business plan, you're road mapping where you're going to go with that auto. You know where you're going to end up, so it helps you decide if 6 manuals is a better decision than a couple of autos.
You can do the math.
It makes
a spreadsheet is the way to go.
It almost makes a decision for you at that point.
Yeah, so you have to what is your average order size? Is it 500 pieces? Well, that's an auto.
There you go.
Is it 48? Not so much.
Yeah.
Right.
And just to be clear, to make sure everyone understands, they can both be great businesses.
Oh, I'm not saying they're not. I'm just saying you got to do what works.
Absolutely.
And I think it has to be based on the math.
And not on what your neighbors got.
And I'm not a out of my head math guy. That's why I like spreadsheets, because you build the formula and it does all the. It's like a calculator. It does all the work for you.
Right.
So,
and I just like to always emphasize too, because you did it to me, and then now I like to relay that to everyone that's in the print fam. In that, just because the guy down the street automated, it doesn't mean that it is the right choice for you. And it doesn't mean that your business is any less better than that person's business.
Well, we need to get out of the dick measuring business.
And so that seems to be what it is.
It doesn't matter if they have better tools than you, okay? Because it's all based on the output that you're doing. And what's right for your business at this particular time. And we're all on a different journey. Like some shops have been around for 10 years and they still have a manual and they're doing fine. Some shops have 3 autos and they're about to go bankrupt.
Yeah.
And so it's like one of these things that don't worry about it. Worry about yourself and worry about what you can control. You can only control what's around you. Okay. Don't worry about what's down the street or whatever. Control what you can control.
Right.
Okay. And invest the time there and learn to make yourself better first. Okay.
Love that, dude.
And then elevate your staff, elevate your offering, build a better website, which is a big thing. Learn your craft. Okay. I invest probably in the screen room before I invest in a press.
Yeah.
And, because it's called screen printing for a reason. It's not called pressing.
Right.
Okay?
It all comes down to that damn screen room, dude.
So invest in screen room and understand that and the reasons why. Like you can go to Facebook right now and you can see, hey, how come this print looks like crap?
Yeah.
And people who know will tell you, well, it's your screens, man. Right. It just by the picture, because we've seen it for years and years and years, right? So, but they don't believe it. you know, what's the first thing they blame?
It's always the press.
No, it's the ink. They always blame it on the ink.
That's yeah, you're right.
So,
you're right.
but it's usually the screens.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I do, man. I think that's good advice, and I had somewhere I wanted to go with that, but I forgot. So let's bust out my list because I got questions, and then you guys, because it's getting it's already been an hour. We're gonna go into the Q&A. Yeah, dude, these things go so fast. What should they be doing? What steps to getting past the shortcut? Okay. Now I think we pretty much covered it all, man. I mean, like we were saying earlier, it's very difficult to verbally tell you how to price your shop. What I would say to you guys, and again, man, I hate promoting shit. You guys know that. But I think in this particular case, the tools that he's put together, first off, he's put a shitload of time into building them. It's not like he just cobbled some shit together. I would say if you're dead serious about getting your shit together, just go check it out. And I'm going to put a link to the description in his website. That's all. It's what you got to do. You got to put in the work. You got to figure out what your numbers are, and from there you'll have an answer as to where you need to go and how you need to be pricing. And then from there, sell on value. Right.
Well, that's the key. That's the key, is to align what your customers, what they value. For instance, if it doesn't matter what your price is, if your customer wants it tomorrow. If their number one thing is I need something tomorrow, and they're willing to pay $45 for a T-shirt, okay, why are you? I'm only 7 to 10 days out, and here's my price list, and it's $12. Yeah, you're totally missing the boat. You have to understand your customer and what they value and what their pain points are, and then build your business around that.
You do.
And then what'll happen is you'll have better success because you're in alignment with what your customer wants.
Exactly. And even for me as a print shop, when I started, I was, you know, most people in this industry are not business people. They're some form of artist. So when I first started, I was terrified to ask for money. I'm getting much more comfortable now. And even just today, when a client needs a damn job and they need it by Friday, if they really want it, they will pay. They may not even wince at the price. You need to have the courage of your conviction. You need to know that this is your price and this is what you charge. We charge a 50% markup on a rush like that. And guess what? They pay it.
Yeah, well, why aren't you charging 100?
Probably should be. Maybe once we're done with this, we'll charge 100.
If they just, without even blinking, pay it, I can tell you're not charging enough.
He brings that back up. If you do it and you're testing things,
and they go, oh, it's that much?
Like,
let me write you a check.
Yeah.
Okay.
You never know too. The guy down the street could have literally hit them at double. You could be so undervaluing everything that you're doing. But that's the whole point, man. Just don't be afraid of your pricing, whatever it needs to be, whether it's higher than the guy down the street.
Well, here's the phrase.
Yeah.
Profit is not a dirty word.
There you go, man.
Make your money. Make your money.
The biggest CEOs, I can't think of who it is, but he said if he could write one goddamn thing on a billboard, if he could do one billboard, like his end-all be-all billboard, he would say, raise prices.
Right.
That's like, okay, maybe I should be raising my prices.
Right.
So I love this, bro. That was a lot of good information. Sure. I don't know that we really dove into the efficiency stuff.
Well, let's go. We got any questions?
We got a lot of questions. You know what? Actually, would you mind coming back another day to talk exclusively about shop efficiencies?
Yeah,
because I think we dove more into price today.
Well, maybe some questions have.
They might hit us because, dude, we could go for another hour for all I know.
Yeah, whatever.
You up to it?
Yeah.
All right. So, guys, hopefully some of you called into the hotline. So we're gonna do that first. We're gonna check. If not, then we'll
people waiting. How do you know?
Then we'll dive into the chat. Well,
see, I get to see the command center. This is cool.
Well, yeah, it's a bumbling mess, is what it is. So if you haven't called into the hotline, but you have questions for him, start submitting those questions in the chat right now, and of course, type @theprintlife so that I actually see them. So start typing those questions in. What is this one? But first, we're gonna favor the call-ins. There it goes. Oh, yeah, man, you got hit. That. Okay, so we're going to start at the bottom, work our way up.
Somebody's in here a couple times. What's up with that?
Ryan's, he seems to, we'll see. It might be two different questions. It might be the same one.
Oh, these are recordings.
Yeah, so they call it in. Okay. So they record it.
I thought they were on hold.
That would be even cooler. You know, I couldn't figure out how to do that. I know there's a way.
I was like, why is that guy on hold twice?
You know what we could, what we should do is get a live Skype call-in option, too. That would be sick.
That would be cool.
Yeah, that'd be really cool. Anyway, let's start this first one off here. So we're going to be quiet while we listen.
Hey, Cam. Hey, Print Life.
Can you hear it?
Marshall Atkinson. Thank you so much for being here today with us. Super appreciate it. I was hoping you guys could talk a little bit about halftones in terms of keeping the dot, dot gain, what causes and how to prevent Murray patterns, stuff like that. I'm really getting deeper into it, and I'm just curious on what you guys have to say about it. All right, thanks. Talk to you guys later.
Did the audience hear that?
Yeah, I'm going to ask him right now. So could you guys hear that in the thing? Let me know in the chat right now.
So let's just repeat what he said. So Ryan was talking about halftones, best practices, how to prevent moire and dot gain and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, so halftones, let's just start with some basics, okay? There's a lot of theories. All I know, Cam, is what I know, right? So I'm not saying what I'm saying is any better or different than anybody else's theory. So it starts off with what I call the rule of 4, okay, which means your halftone line weight, okay, you multiply that by 4, and that should be your minimum screen mesh count.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's a pretty good principle to run with.
Well, some people it's 5. That's
You've heard that?
Yeah. So and because they want a higher mesh. Okay. So, but to me, I've had best results with 4. Okay. And the angles I've always used for spot color are 63.4 for simulated process or just a halftone drop shadow or something.
Okay.
63.4. I like a 50 line dot. I like an elliptical shape. And the reason you want to use an elliptical shape is because a circled halftone will, like, you know, if your mesh is a tic-tac-toe square, it'll fall in the middle, right?
Yeah.
And then you won't have a halftone. But an elliptical dot, it'll hit one of the lines somewhere, and then you get better halftones when you use elliptical dot.
Yeah, I think the circles are actually a big cause of moire. I never know how to
moire,
say it. Moire?
It's a French term meaning it looks like shit. Okay.
Yeah.
So what happens? Moire actually is interference, and it's caused by when you do a halftone. The angle means all the dots are in a particular. They will line up like little soldiers. Okay. So what causes the moire is the mesh. The mesh is 90, 090, right? Yeah. So your angle of your halftones causes the interference, and where the dots hit on that grid causes these wavy looking lines, okay? Yeah. So the problem here, especially with printers who are using film and not a computer to screen unit, is you could have it perfectly set up on your film, and then when you put it on your screen, it's just slightly turned a little bit, and that causes all the moire. Yeah. Okay? Which is why if you're doing somewhere around 30 to 40 screens a day, you should really be looking at going to a computer to screen system because you've got enough volume to make it worthwhile financially with an ROI, but you're going to solve that moire problem instantly, and you'll never have it again because it's the machine doing it and not somebody screwing around with the film.
Right. Another thing to chime in on that too with moire is moire.
God damn it!
M-O-I-R-E
with a little accent thing on the I.
Yeah. So one thing that we've been experimenting with it is those the S mesh. For some reason, I guess it's like what you're talking about with the way things line up. But when they have the thinner thread in the mesh of the screen, it's like not blocking the dot as much, and it does seem to cut down. We just did a job with it, and it's almost a thing of the past for us. We don't even have to dive into the details of the angles of the thing to the mesh. So maybe if you're having a lot of problems with it, check out some of those thin mesh screens as well. Right. And where else were you going?
So some other things is on CMYK, I don't know if anybody does 4-color process, but I did, my angles were always cyan is 82, magenta is 22, yellow is 112, and black is 52, and those are all 30 degrees apart, and they should form a rosette. Yeah. You should all have a loop. If you don't know what a loop is, you can buy one on Amazon for like $6. And I have one in my bag we can get. And so it's a little magnifying glass, and you can look and see the little rosette. Yeah. Let's see what else on halftone. So,
and you can see what a rosette's supposed to look like if you get a loop on like a magazine, a good one. It literally is like a circle.
It looks like a little flower.
Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah,
it's clean looking.
Yeah, and so the reason you get lots of dot gain is caused by 2 things: crappy screen tension, okay, and too much damn pressure. Okay, so here's a rule of thumb. It doesn't even matter if it's a halftone. If you can see your print on your board, you're using too much pressure.
There you go.
Okay, that's just right off the bat.
Yeah.
You should never see your print on your board because you're not getting paid to print the platen. You're getting paid to print the wood. I mean the shirt, right?
That's funny.
So what's happening is you've got so much pressure, you're driving the ink through the shirt like a hammer with a nail.
Yeah.
Okay, so you need to back off that pressure. And then also I would look at your screen tension because let's think about it. Low screen tension, okay, is like a trampoline. So when you print, right, it bends down a little bit, and that causes all types of problems, including dot gain, okay? If it's super tight, like a sheet of glass, your squeegee is just going to shear the ink, and it's going to drop down onto the thing, onto the shirt easier, right? So that's the reason why screen tension is so important in this industry. And so for those shops that don't have a screen tension meter, you know, you can buy one for $100 or whatever.
$100, yeah.
Okay, and then so here's my rule of thumb on that is anything under 18 newtons, okay, you don't use that screen anymore. Okay, that goes, you remesh it, or if it's a roller frame, you retighten it. In between 18 and 20 is only good for one colors. Okay, 20 newtons or above is good for multicolor jobs. And for multicolor jobs, you want to stick to about 2 newtons of screen difference. So one's 24, one's 26, one's 25. That's all within 2 newtons.
Yeah.
You could use that.
There you go.
One's 21, one's 26. You might have some registration issues.
There you go.
Okay. So the importance of having a good, nice screen, and also dot gain can also be caused by not having your squeegee sharp or using a rounded blade. So I would use a nicely sharp squeegee. I like a triple durometer, 70, 90, 70, but you can use whatever you want. But I like super sharp. You know, a harder squeegee is going to have less dot gain because you're not putting as much force through the thing. And then also I would look at your emulsion over mesh. And so it's really nice to have a good coated screen. And so what you want is a think about I don't see a glass, but think about this bottled water, right, as a section view of your screen, right? Your channel that you create, this was a halftone dot, right? You want to drive the ink down through it and onto the shirt. Okay? So if you don't have a good screen, if you haven't exposed it right, if you've got any issues with your emulsion, what happens is you've got an irregular dot, and that causes the dot to spread a little bit. Okay? So if you have a really great screen room, this is why I was saying you should invest in your screen room.
It's the first place to start.
You're going to have better halftones. And that's all from that craftsmanship in taking care of the screens.
Oh, another one that I have on dot gain, I heard it, I can't remember where, one of those wonderful wearables magazines or whatever, but it's common for most of us when we do a lot of spot color printing to build the bottom of the stencil up. You're building that up thick, right? Well, I heard this, and you guys could test this out. I haven't tested it out personally, but building instead of, like, when you're doing halftones, instead of turning it flat side down to let your screen dry, you're actually turning it upside down. Essentially, you're trying to have as little emulsion on the print side of the screen. Any emulsion should be built up on the inside, and apparently what that helps do is not deposit as much ink on the garment, which then reduces dot gain as well. Did I explain that properly?
I don't know, but I wouldn't do it that way. I like screens.
I just heard this.
I like screens when you got them in the rack and they're drying. The print side is down
typically,
and so the gravity is going to make it. That's going to be better because you're creating the channels what you want for the ink to drop into.
And this is the whole point. When you're with dot gain, a lot of the time it's because either you're using too much pressure or you're depositing too much ink. So if you can, first off, and that was another thing too, you want to use a really sharp blade when it comes to coating your screens, as opposed, an actual coater, as opposed to using the round side for doing like spot color stuff on your 150s, your 200s. Use the sharp side and ultimately just try to make as a clean, good coat, but a thin coat. The thinner the coat, the less ink will be deposited on the substrate. Haven't tried it, but it is something I heard that helps reduce dot gain. So And
Right.
anything else you got?
Not on that.
That was a good question, dude. It's complicated though.
Well,
you can talk about it forever.
Well, you have to dial it into what their
Right.
problems are.
Yeah, I kind of often hesitate even talking about that stuff and also there's a million different opinions on the same subject.
Well, all I know is what I know.
Yeah,
so I'm not going to get in an argument.
But it was good, and it was a good question. So thanks for tuning in, dude. Next one. If it's another halftone question, we're skipping it.
Monahu Cam, this is William Center from Indigenous Graphics. I had a question for Marshall on the niche stuff. How do you make it to where it appeals to other groups? Because mine's more of tribal. Most of my customers and clients are tribal. Kind of hard to get people who are non-tribal to go through me to do their printing. I know I'm cheaper than anybody else. It's not that it breaks my bank. I do make a profit, a good profit. It's just that I don't have to pay rent since I'm on the reservation and stuff like that. I don't have a lot of the financial obligations like a lot of people do on shops that are not on reservation land. But just want to know how you go about breaking that barrier to where some people, like from my experience and from some of the other native printers I've talked to where they think that we don't print well enough or we're not good at artwork or whatever the case may be. But I do try to be creative and show them what I can do, what's possible, and how creative I can get. Most people, especially on the tribe, and the only one that's non-tribal is Chamber of Commerce, they let me do the design work because they say the designs I do a lot better than what their idea is, and we print it out and go from there. So I haven't really had much of a fuss with clients being too picky or anything like that. They go with the colors I suggest, and there they go. But my problem is getting out there to show other people that are non-tribal that I can actually do the work, and it's just as good quality as the next guy. And like I said, I can beat out any printer here price-wise and stuff like that, and it doesn't hurt me or anything of that nature, and the business plan.
We got a question in there.
Yeah. So it's basically, did everybody hear that?
They heard it. They can hear it better than we can. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, great.
Yeah.
So it's basically he's got a market niche. He's a tribal guy, right? So
yeah.
And that's great. Okay. You know why that's great? Is because he has an unfair advantage.
He's got it already.
He's cheaper than everybody else. That seems to me that he needs to raise his prices.
Right.
Okay.
And he did mention that it's because his cost of overhead is lower. But dude, it doesn't mean your prices should be lower.
Here's the thing that I want that guy. What was his name?
You know, he's from Indigenous Graphics. Let me hear it real quick. It's really quiet.
Monahu Cam, this is William Center from Indigenous.
William. All right, so William, here's what you should do is, when you think about your prices, if you had to operate in a shop like Cam has, what would that cost you? And put that into your pricing, okay? And because the reason is, you're not always going to want to operate out of your garage or your basement or whatever, so you need to have that built into your pricing right now, and so you can understand what your pricing's like, and that way you're doing it and based in like more of a reality base. So when you want to get into a bigger shop, that money is always accounted for into your pricing structure.
And also I want to speak on that. Like, I understand that he wants to step out of his niche.
Yeah.
But dude, like, you have a great niche, and like, if you already have connections to different tribes, even if there are other tribes besides the tribe you're in, like, I just feel like I would exploit that to the furthest potential first.
Think about this with just a different scenario.
Yeah.
Right? So let's say you're a Marine Corps veteran and you're operating your shop and everything is Semper Fi, bulldogs, kill them all, sort them out, that kind of stuff. Yeah. And your whole line is based on that you're a Marine, you're a veteran. That's your unfair advantage with all Marines everywhere.
It is, and they will always favor you over the next guy.
So if you are a tribal guy, okay, I don't know where this guy lives, but you know, there are Indian tribes in every state, everything. He could be their resource. And here's the other thing is, you know,
I would exploit it.
I'm from Florida, right? The Seminole Indian tribe owns Hard Rock Cafes. They own that whole business. They bought it, right?
Really?
So how come this guy doesn't have the Hard Rock Cafe business? Because he's a tribal guy. So it's like one of these things where you think about doing things that are just a little beyond what you're doing, and see if you can get that alignment,
right?
Okay, and so if they say no, who gives a crap? At least you called them, right?
Yeah.
At least you called them, William. So it's like one of these things where, what is your unfair advantage? Are you a minority? Are you a woman? Are you a Marine veteran? Are you a tribal guy?
Yeah, the vets, the police. A lot of police work with police.
There's a lot of firemen and police that have screen printing shops because they have all this time off,
and they have the connections.
So instead of you know, having a lawn care company like a lot of them do, they have a screen print shop.
I even talked to a guy, Mike Serqua, who was starting printing he was exclusively going after not just construction but foam, the spray foam guy. So his whole niche was just like trying to.
You can be super deep in one niche. Right.
And that's really the point, man. I think that first, raise your prices, start selling value, but really go after those tribes, man. I think you're just missing a huge. You have something that everyone's always trying to find. It's right in front of you.
Well, I couldn't sell to the tribes.
No, dude.
So because
unless you had an in with a tribe member.
You know, Joe White guy.
I mean, we get to work for him sometimes, but yeah, dude, you have an unfair advantage. He said it perfectly earlier, and I'd exploit the shit out of it.
Right.
Moving on, man. Yeah. Good answer, though. Very good. Good question, too. And it brings up another point that sometimes, and that's why it's good to have an outsider's perspective, because you get tunnel vision and you don't see the opportunities right in front of you.
Well, what that is
tell you.
It's a confidence level.
That too,
okay,
probably.
He's not confident. The reason why we don't offer things at the price we should is we're not confident about what we're selling. So if you're confident about your ability to work and do the work and print and design and do things, this is my price. Take it or leave it. I don't care.
Yeah.
Because I'm confident about it.
Right.
Okay. And because you can deliver.
But he did sound confident on his print skills. I think he's not confident in his pricing. So yeah, he needs to. You need to own it, dude. You need to say, dude, my printing is good, and I own this pricing, and this is my pricing.
Right.
And then asking questions like that to this man and this man gives you an outsider's perspective, and now hopefully you're going, oh shit, I should be focusing on this group. Maybe not worry about these people over here. Don't you agree?
Yep.
Yeah, it's good. That was good. Anyway, let's get another one in here, man.
Wanahu Cam,
this
is William Center from Indigenous Graphics. Been helping me out by giving me all the business to.
Okay, next one.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Ryan Perez, Rye Beat. First and foremost, I'd like to say thank you guys for doing this. Marshall, it was a pleasure meeting at ISS at Long Beach. I'm just dropping by to say thank you for dropping the knowledge, especially for a new screen printer like myself. Any new tips and tricks and just budgeting is always welcome, and I'm always trying to do better at it. So, first of all, thank you, and that's about it, guys. You have a good one. Peace out.
Well, that was just a shout-out from Ryan Perez. He was the one hanging with me at the thing.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
cool,
So, we all met him. We also lost touch somewhere along the line.
Well, I had a client wanted to pay me, so I dumped you.
We were busy. Yeah, apparently I'm not a good date. This fucking guy. It was hectic for both of us at that ISS, man. I had fun. Again, I wouldn't have went if he didn't talk. He basically told me I needed to go, and you were right.
Yeah, I got your free thing.
He got me. Oh my God, he got me the press pass. He got me the whole shit.
Right.
But it was a good time. Thank you, Ryan, for calling in, man. That was cool.
Yeah, thanks, buddy.
I think this is him again. This might be all we got.
That's the first one we listened to.
No, we started from the bottom.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Ryan Perez, Ryan Beats.
See, for some reason, it's giving us doubles sometimes. Maybe we missed one? Nope. Okay, so that's it. Let me refresh this and make sure we didn't have any more calls in. Oh, one more. Here we go.
Hey, Cam, Marshall, Print Fam. This is J-Rock from Ink Kings, Inc. First-time caller, long-time blotcher. My question is in regards, I've been listening to a lot of these pricing questions and seeing a lot of newbies, competing with the shops down the street. And I'm just wondering, what your thoughts are and the complications and challenges it would be to try to get us to move as an industry to not undersell, especially in the beginning level.
Great question, bro.
Yeah.
Very
I love
good.
that. So it's a giant race to the bottom.
Let's have you start it,
all the time. And you see this all the time on Facebook where what would you be at this? I would be $8. Well, I'm at $7. I'm at $6. I'm at $10.
Is it the most common post you see?
And it's a constant thing.
It's crazy.
So one of the things, and this is why I talk about this, which is it doesn't matter what all these people price their stuff at. What matters is what your customer is willing to pay you for it. Okay, so if there's a race to the bottom and you feel like you're being chopped off at the knees because there's competition, that means that you haven't demonstrated your value enough to that customer for them to pay you what you want.
Yeah,
okay?
and I can speak on that to such a level because I didn't. Now I do, and so I'm doing less work, making more money because I'm demonstrating value, and it's going to continue to go that way. Everybody has to change their mindset on this to the nth degree. And then also, I think another thing that will change this industry and the way everyone keeps undercutting is having conversations just like this. When groups are coming together, when there's people like Marshall and myself just saying, stop undercutting each other and price based on what you need it to be or to be profitable. I think slowly it's starting to change. I'm noticing it. Like I'm noticing even the price of it starting to go up and stuff. So I feel like it's changing.
Custom ink is the best thing that's ever happened to this industry.
It is.
Okay, and the reason for that is because, they're charging $20 for the shirt? Okay, you're at $8?
It raised the value.
Okay, so it's like one of these things where look at all the money that you're leaving on the table.
Right.
Okay, so I hear from shops all the time that they're so happy that Custom Ink does that because they're able to raise their prices.
Yeah.
And so if you're trying to have any type of comparison discussion, look at what other people are doing and how much under you are. And maybe that's the discussion maybe that we should be having is how come you're only charging that when you should be charging this?
And you look at Custom Ink and statistically speaking, they own the market share. They have the biggest market share of any print shop. So, and they're also the most expensive. So what does that tell you? We're all shooting ourselves in the foot.
It's because they're selling their value.
They sell it better than anyone.
And so it's like, this is what I'm talking about. You have to demonstrate your value to people, and then they'll pay you for it.
They will.
Okay? Because
and it also goes back to what you were saying earlier about selling the experience, because hate it or love it, love a design lab or hate it, Custom Ink does sell an experience from the beginning of it to the end. You feel something, and then they have really cool things where they feature some of their print clients on their homepage. They do a lot of stuff that creates an experience that adds to value, and it makes people willing to pay $30 for a shirt at 36 pieces. It's crazy stuff.
Yeah. So it's just one of these things where you should really just kind of re-examine how you're doing things and just make sure you're in alignment. And I'm not advocating people go out of business by changing their price list and it's 3 times what they have. What I'm saying is that
every customer you've ever had.
What I'm saying is that you have to understand your customer and understand their pain point and write your business plan so it's in alignment with what people are willing to do. And here's a case in point is I like steak, right? Steak is expensive. And I know that it's more expensive than going out for a hamburger.
Right.
Okay. But guess what? I'll go out and get steak.
It's a good analogy.
And I know that, guess what? It's good. It's from a cow.
Right.
Okay. It's the same thing, but it's more expensive.
And it is a lot of the times how it's presented, where the house is that you're going, what the steakhouse looks like, what environment and atmosphere they create around that steak. And now you're willing to pay $100 for that slab of meat instead of 50 at one place or even 20 at Applebee's.
Right, yeah.
It's all in the experience.
Think about like going to Applebee's or Red Robin or any of these other places that sell hamburgers, right? They're not competing with the $99 value meal. they're getting $12, $15 for a hamburger.
That's a good point.
It's a bun, it's a tomato, it's lettuce, it's the beef.
Yeah.
You know,
That's a
they
good
got
point.
serve it with fries. Okay. So why do we do that? We do that because guess what? We're not eating at McDonald's.
Yeah, and I think, yeah, and you know, I think that there is something to be said for the experience more than just what you're selling as a product. Like, I think that I am a great example of this as a print shop. Maybe it's I don't do everything right, but there's the YouTube channel. You start if you think outside of the box of just the print world and in the marketing and the social and how you can create a story around your shop that's beyond just printing t-shirts, right? You're really not selling a t-shirt, you're selling an experience. So as a printer or as a shop, we should really be, all of us, focusing on how we sell our experience, what our experience is. And I think that wraps it up. But as far as the industry, because I heard that question in there and how we can get us as a whole to raise the prices, I think he said it. Custom ink was the first step in that. And now we all need to raise our value to where we're up where they're at, selling at the same kind of prices.
Yeah.
That was good, man. Good question. Really good, actually. No more callers. So let's go into the chat real quick and just get some of that going on, dude. Maybe if I can find it. How you holding up, Marshall? You need a drink or anything?
No, I'm good.
Okay. I know it can be strange talking for long periods of time. The
I
cotton
talk all
mouth,
day.
you're good
what are you
at
talking
it.
About?
You got it, bud. All right, so let's start here, man. I got some shit here, and we're gonna run down the list.
Ooh.
Tips on not shit, not like doo-doo. Got some shit. We got some questions. This is from Hotbox Print Studios. Okay, so tips on maintaining quality screens for each job. I think we kind of covered that a little bit, but you want to reiterate quickly?
Well, here's something you should know is that screens will deteriorate and lose their tension over time. So if you're keeping screens for that client and you're saving them and 6 months go by, your tension has dropped. So it could also be maybe they were all the same tension at one point, but what's going to happen is over that time, now it's not as much on one or whatever. Even though it registered last time, maybe it's not going to register now. So if you're keeping screens, just be careful about that, especially if you're in a shop that has no air conditioning and it's hot as hell in the shop like it is here in Arizona. You may have some issues with saved screens.
Are you an advocate for saving job screens? What is your opinion on that?
Well, it depends. I will keep screens if I'm going to print it the next week or two.
Okay, you'll hang on to them
and then reclaim it.
Yeah, see, and again, this just comes down to opinion. I don't know, but we reclaim everything. I feel like it's with us because we have dip tanks and pre-softening tanks. I feel like it's faster, but everyone has an opinion on it.
Well, it's also how many screens do you have? And a lot of people, you know, and so
and also space requirements.
Probably a rule of thumb for shops is
index.
keeping 3 or 4 times the amount of screens that you use a day.
Right.
That's how many screens you need for your shop. Because, you know, you've got the ones you're using for the print, right? You got the ones that you just printed and haven't reclaimed yet.
Yeah.
And then you need screens that you need to go burn for the ones you're doing tomorrow.
It's true.
So that's about 3 times.
Smart.
Four
it's a good way to look at it.
4 is a good safety, right?
I like that, yeah.
So just think about how many screens you might need, and then also the mesh counts, right? So you use a 110 or 156 or whatever for underbase, and you do a lot of that. You might need a lot more of those than you need for maybe a 60 when you do metallics or 305s.
Your specialty screens or whatever. Yeah,
so
it's a good answer. I like that.
Keep kind of track of that.
Right, I love that. Oh, Ryan was leaving a message and someone called him. That's why he had a double. The same thing. Thanks for the long explanation on my halftones question. So Jason just wants to thank you personally for really diving into the halftones question.
Oh, no problem. You're welcome,
fun.
Jason.
Marvin Brooks, how would you suggest getting more jobs through? That's a common question. How do you get more work?
How do you get more work?
How do you get more work?
It's a lead gen thing, right? Right.
Yeah.
So first off, what are you doing? So I don't know what he does.
Right.
Right. So
let's lay out a platform.
Is he a website guy? Is he a local guy? Does he have salespeople? I mean, there's all types of ways you do this. So, I mean,
let's say I think the majority of the people in here are a 1 to 4 person operation, small.
Right.
Let's assume they don't have a marketing person. It's going to be the owner is going to be doing this. Let's kind of talk about. Let's lay out a platform.
Well, what I would advise first is what You know what the answer is.
I mean, for me, it's the site, dude.
It's write the business plan.
Well, the goddamn business plan. I built the site before that goddamn business plan that we're talking about.
Write your business plan so you know your direction and you know your market, and you know, if you want more work.
Real quick, it's the SBA.gov. The business, that business plan template. I'm gonna link it in the description. I used it, and it's amazing. It's like it makes writing a business plan a lot easier than it used to be. Is it SBA.gov?
It's SBA.gov, or they can buy the book, and I've written a template for the industry that asks you questions about who your suppliers are and blah, blah, blah.
Okay.
So it's written right for this industry. The SBA.gov is awesome.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, and but it's generic for any business out there.
So if you really want to get industry specific, yours is the way. You got one in there? You have one?
It's called a Shop Basic Info Pack. It's got 2 different types of business plans. It's got the big boy that's going to have your P&L and everything.
Yeah.
And then it's got what I call the one-page lean startup one. And so it's got just exercises and questions that you answer, and then you've got your business plan written. And then it's also got a section on branding. It's got an employee handbook template, so shops that don't have an employee handbook, you just put your information in and delete the stuff that you don't use, and now you've got an employee handbook. And then it's got my production log dashboard, which allows you to get all your daily numbers for what your production's doing. You get the totals, you put them into the spreadsheet that I've built for you, and then it churns out all of your percentages and numbers and impressions per hour and everything automatically. It's all got the formulas already built.
That's pretty cool.
But the business plan is written for this industry.
Which
so
would
it
be
asks
helpful.
you specific questions.
Right. And I know when I was doing research, like market research and shit for numbers, and that can be difficult. Does it help you with that a little bit?
Yeah, it asks you questions. And the last question that it wants you to write is, what is your unfair advantage? Which is why I answered that for
Love that.
William the way I did. It's because that's what you want to get to. You want to get to, you have no competition because you're so awesome.
Right.
So you want to write your business plan, so that's what you get to.
So that's step number 1. You write your plan so that you can ultimately get to what did you call it?
Your unfair advantage.
Your unfair advantage. Okay, so now you've defined your unfair advantage.
Right.
Now it's a goddamn website. I'm going to double down on that.
Unfair advantage is something that other people don't have.
Right.
That could be a really awesome artist. That could be how you're delivering. That could be the fact that you've got a reconditioned ice cream truck, and that's what you deliver in. And everybody knows you around town.
Yeah.
That could be you've got your turn times are 3 business days.
Yeah.
Okay, and I know plenty of shops that do that now.
God.
So it's 3 business days, so you're beating the competition. So by the way, if you're still stuck in the 7 to 10 day window, you're going to be losing business.
Yeah,
because now it's usually 5 to 7, and a lot of shops are going to 3 and 5 now.
Interesting.
So
that's problematic. That's a tough one. That's a tough one for smaller shops to tackle. Maybe we need to come together and find a way to do it.
But guess what?
Because he's right.
Sandmar's just down the street from you.
Yeah.
Right?
We get next day.
You can get next day. So it's not about getting the shirts. It's about getting all the other logistic processes handled.
Yeah.
So
if it's becoming the industry standard, then you have to address it.
Well, it's what Merch by Amazon's doing. They're doing they're shipping in a day. So when people can go online and do that, why should I use you, the local guy?
Interesting.
So you have to compete against that. That's why you need the business plan to write what you're doing, so you can compete against Amazon and Custom Ink and that kind of stuff.
And the plans
do
help you.
They're disrupting this industry.
And the plans help you address those problems that are coming up too.
Well,
they help you because if you go into this blind, you're like, I didn't know. Like right now, I didn't know that they were doing that in like the 3-day shit, right, or whatever. So you address those kind of things through those plans. So it's another very helpful reason to write the plan up, I think.
Yeah, you have to use your noggin.
Yeah, but they're tough, getting the plans together.
It's not fun.
It is not fun.
But the way I put it in the book,
especially for creatives,
the way I put it in the book is, imagine an iceberg.
Yeah.
Okay. Imagine this huge iceberg, the one that sunk the Titanic. Okay. What sticks out of the water? That ice. That's your business plan. That's on a piece of paper. Okay. But what supports the business plan and makes it actually work and float and function, okay, is all of the research that you do. Okay, that's the reason why you write the business plan, is because you need to know all this stuff. And if you don't know this stuff, you can't write a business plan, which means you don't know your market, you don't know your customer, you don't know the logistics, you don't know what your competition's doing, you don't know all this stuff. So what happens is you're basing your entire shop's future on just luck of somebody coming in your shop and wanting something.
Winging it,
Okay, which is, you're doomed to failure. Now, there's tons of shops that operate great on luck, but sooner or later that luck is going to run out.
Yeah, I think I agree. I'm starting to agree more. And I think that's a good starting point. And then from there, you've got your business plan. You've got all that lined out. What's the next stage to start getting more clients?
Marketing. So once you know your customer, you can start marketing to them. If you don't know who your customer is, how are you going to develop a marketing plan?
Right.
Okay, so what's happening is you're just throwing stuff out there and hoping somebody reads it or watches it or gets it or whatever. But when you have a business plan, you can write a marketing plan, and it can be tailored to the business that you want. Not that idiot that walks in who only wants 3 shirts and it's 6 colors, and they want to see 16 different shirts and they want to touch and feel each one, and you just wasted 3 hours of your day for $6.
And a lot of people that are just starting, that's the client they're dealing with.
So what happens is when you write your business plan, that guy, okay, sorry, we have a 36-piece minimum. He's going to go to somewhere else, and you're not even going to worry about him.
Right.
Okay, because you're going to be focused on what you want to do best.
Right.
Okay, and so when you write your marketing plan, you'll know who these people are and where are they and how to find them and how to network with them and how to close those deals. And when you do your lead generation stuff, it's all about identifying these people first and then creating the support material to handle that. So that could be with a MailChimp campaign. That could be with some face-to-face networking. Maybe you got to go to a trade show. That could be with just door-to-door stuff. That could be with building a website. But it's got to be built on how your customers respond to stuff, not how you want to sell. So that's part of your business plan, is understanding how these people operate. For instance, a school system. Let's say you want to market to high schools, right? That school purchaser person, that coach or the person in the school system doesn't care what you post on Facebook.
Right.
They're not looking at that.
Yeah.
Okay, the only way you're going to get that business is to go see them in their office.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
So it's like one of these things, why waste the time building a Facebook thing?
Right.
Right?
Unless your customer's there.
Unless you're looking at other things. Now, having a Facebook thing for marketing to the students of the high school makes tons of sense.
Right.
Okay? But trying to get the authority to do that means you got to go out and have that personal meeting. So the reason why a business and marketing plan matters is because until you have identified this stuff, you can't make good decisions about what you're doing. You're just throwing darts at the wall, hoping things are going to work out.
Yeah, it's like, and to kind of re-explain that, it's almost like you start at the end and then work backwards. You really want to know who your customer is, and then you're almost stepping backwards, right?
Yes.
You don't just start going for it and hope that they end up in front of where you're aiming.
Yes.
You kind of
exactly true.
And I think that makes a lot of sense. And I know, because I speak from personal experience, that most of us did not start our businesses that way. We kind of went out for it and we just hope something stuck.
Yeah, well,
so this is great advice to hear, you know.
Well, typically there's 2 types of people in this industry. There's the creative person who wants to monetize their art, right? And then there's the business person that goes, holy crap, I'm paying $25 for my kids' shirts for school. I can do that.
Right.
And then that's how they get into it. So, I mean, I know that doesn't speak for everybody, but that seems like a lot.
It's pretty generally pretty accurate.
And so, and what people do is they buy the equipment and start it, and then they start making all these mistakes.
Yeah.
And then it's a giant, oh my God, how do I do? What did I do? I just spent all this money. I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And it's a never-ending journey of learning your craft.
It is.
And it never ever ends.
And
it never ends.
And just to speak on that though, it's okay if you start that way. Like if you start like with any business, sometimes it's just about starting, and then you kind of pick up the pieces after. So it's okay if that's you, that was me. If that's the way you're starting, at least you're here now listening and trying to reassess your situation. So it's all good. However you start is okay. But I love that. And then that's it. You've got your plan. You know who you're going to go after. Now you create a marketing plan to go after that person. Right. It's funny when you put it like that. It's like really fucking simple.
Well, and then you got to, but you also want to appeal to rock bands. Okay, let's say. Well, guess what? They buy differently.
Right.
They're on the road doing their thing, trying to sell their CDs. You know, if they still sell those. Or it's not just downloads. And then they got but they're using their shirt merch to put gas in the van because they're playing at the bar in the next town over, and that's how they're fueling their trip, and they try to make it big, right? Marketing to that person is completely different than marketing to that school. Yeah. So you can't have a shotgun approach and just hope it's all going to work.
Right.
You got to understand what these people's problems are. Yeah. And then when you solve that problem, so when that crazy band calls and goes, hey, we're out of mediums, we need some shirts, we're going to be in Cleveland on Tuesday, you've got that figured out.
Right. And I was just going to say that's kind of the trick, and that's how you kind of make yourself special to a particular market, is by solving their problem. Yeah. Like if you've built the infrastructure that makes it really easy for you to get their art, print their shit, and get it to them almost on the fly, right? That you've got them. So that's really good.
And so if you could handle that for that band, where those shirts are there in Cleveland on Tuesday when they pull up to the hotel, okay, are they going to nickel and dime you for 50 cents?
Right.
Because somebody else probably can't do that.
It's true. Yeah.
Okay. So it's like one of these things. That's the reason why it's really important to understand what your customers are doing and know what their pain points are. And there's so many different types of clients. It's hard. It's so general. You can't make a blanket statement, you know, because it's like that's why you have to do the research. And by research, I don't mean looking on the internet. I mean going to talk to the customer and asking them questions. Okay, that's part of the research that people don't do, is because
we've gotten lazy
they're scared to talk to the customer.
Yeah.
So I recommend talking to people and going, hey, what are your problems? What do you need? What's your number one thing you'd like to see?
Yeah, and I'll say that about you specifically, because, and I think that you're probably from that old school world, but it is still viable today, where you're more of you called, like you reach out, you try to figure things out in person instead of like all email, digital, Facebook messages.
I love looking up stuff.
And he comes by, like when he did the article, he was here, so he comes by, and I think that that's kind of a lost art, that if you are a shop and you're a young person coming up, if you brought that back, I think that might be an unfair advantage that you offer, just being more personal.
Well, you can't be scared of no.
You can't, dude. And that's just sales 101. But yeah, dude, that was good. I think we answered it. I felt good about that. I liked it. So. That's good.
Well, that's the answer we gave.
That's it, man. Thanks for the long explanation. Oops.
There's always a long explanation with me. I can't shut up.
That's dude. When it comes to live shows, bro, it's the best way to be, man. So yeah, and he just chimed in. Thanks for the advice on focusing on his tribal stuff. He's going to readjust his prices and then just kind of focus on that niche. So that's awesome.
Right. That's William?
Yeah.
Okay, so William, write your business plan.
Yeah, write that.
Before you adjust your prices, write your business plan so you understand why you're doing it. Don't just raise it 15%.
Yeah, and then Inking just chimed in. Yeah, his pricing is good. He'd like to see the entire industry move towards value instead of. So that's cool.
Yeah, well, good luck with that.
And Silk Visions will be calling you soon. I want to take this opportunity real quick before we dive into some more questions, because we have been running a while. You got some stuff going on, man, and just to thank you for coming in and spending time with us, I wanted to give you the opportunity to you got some cool shit going on.
I do.
So let's plug it right quick.
Okay, so.
And I'll put all the links in the descriptions.
Yeah. The first thing I want to do is the coin flip that we talked about.
Okay, let's do that.
Okay, so here's what's going on. Let me set it up.
Go for it.
I've got 3 ebooks on my website, which is atkinsontshirt.com. Just go to the shop tab, okay, and you'll see the ebooks.
Yeah.
Okay, there's a free one that you can download, which is Top 10 Workflow Tips, which is just basically how to get more stuff out of your shop every day. And then I've got 2 other ebooks. There's the Shop Basic Info Pack, which is all those templates I just talked about. That's $49. And then I got an ebook, which is called Price for Profit, which is learning how to use your shop's efficiency and your costs to develop our pricing strategy that allows you to understand how to make a profit, because you're not going to be under what it actually takes to run your shop, because you're using your own math, not somebody else's math, your own math to build your price list.
Super important.
And that's at 59 bucks. So what I wanted to do for the print fam, and he doesn't have any dice, so we're doing it this weird way.
Explain. This is better. Fuck a dice.
These are going to be, and I've got my computer right here if it didn't shut down, this is going to be 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60% off the books for the month of July, just because I love the print fam and I think Cam's hilarious.
That's pretty nice.
So what I want to do is we're going to flip a coin, and wherever the coin lands is what the percentage off is going to be on the book. So I know everybody's hoping it's going to be 60.
I'm aiming for 60, ladies and gentlemen.
Can we see? How do we do it so everybody knows it's the real number?
Well, we can't. You guys are gonna have to trust us, because this shit it'll fall apart. So I got your backs. I'm not going to let him.
Right.
Here we go. Ready?
And he's flipping, not me.
Here we go. Let's get that 60, baby. Oh, shit.
You got to hit the thing.
Should have practiced beforehand.
You got to hit the thing.
I'm aiming for 60. Oh, shit. I'm going to get it. Does that count? That doesn't count.
Be on the corner.
That was in the corner. Oh, shit. It went. Listen to me. Let's go one more. Let's do one more. Best of three?
Best of three.
Shit, if it would
It's got to be on the thing.
The dice would have been so much better, guys.
We wanted to do dice, but he didn't have any.
Oh!
That's 40. Okay, best of three, and I'll do the highest number.
Okay, best of three. Come on, baby.
60.
Oh,
so we'll do 60.
Shit. I got you guys.
So thanks, I'm not going to make any money.
I got you.
But,
well, it's only for a month or two, so.
It's only for July.
I think you can deal with it.
So it's only for 2 weeks, really.
That's the hookup. And then this is going to be a coupon code, right?
Yeah, coupon code. So you go and you order. It's PrintFam 2018, and the P and the F are capitalized.
P and F is capitalized. I will put that coupon code in the description of this video.
And so that's live right now. So it's PrintFam, all one word with the P and the F capitalized, 2018.
For 60% off of Marshall's entire
the
educational system. Not the entire one.
Not my consulting, because that's different, but the e-books.
You guys will work up to that consulting.
Yeah, so it's...
We'll keep working up there.
So anyway, and I'm... and the other cool thing I want to talk about is my new event series.
Yeah, this is cool.
Do we have time for that?
Let's talk about it. Yeah, man.
So nobody knows this yet.
It's exclusive to you.
Yeah. So
well, except the people that are involved.
Yeah. So I went to ThreadX at the beginning of the year, and I was having. And if you guys don't know that, what that is, that was an event that SGIA held in Palm Springs, and it was a fantastic event. The next one's going to be in San Diego in February, excuse me. I'll be there. It was incredible. Cool. Okay. So I was hanging out with Tom Rowan, who owns Envision Tees. He has the screen printing marketing group on Facebook.
Yeah.
Which has 6,000 people in it.
Yeah, it's an awesome group.
And so anyway, so we're sitting there having our omelets or whatever we're eating, and we're talking about how great this event was. And the reason it was so nice is because everybody wasn't at their shop. It was relaxed. There was a lot of networking. There's tons of educational content. There's a lot of stuff going on. And we kept talking after the event, and we realized there's probably a business opportunity for this. So we have created a new event series that's called Shirt Lab. Okay, and this isn't out yet. This is the first time I've talked about it publicly.
Very cool.
And so it's called Shirt Lab, and our first event is going to be in Columbus, Ohio, on October the 27th. And so what we're going to do is we're going to have it on a Saturday, so you don't have to close your shop to go to something.
Okay, very good.
And this is the first of a whole series of events. So we're going to do one event a quarter. Okay. We're going to have Q1 is more than likely going to be in Atlanta. We're also looking at Portland. We're looking at St. Louis, Denver, Minneapolis, Philly.
Dang, you guys taking this on the road?
Yeah, so it's going to be the same event.
Got Snoop Dogg over here.
Same event. We're just having it in different cities, so shops don't have to close their shop. They don't have to travel across the country to get the information. And we're bringing in the best people to give sales and marketing training. Okay, and I'm lining up the speakers. I'm lining up the sponsors.
They're not all locked down yet.
They're not all locked down. So I've got a website right now. It isn't. There's still some work I'm doing on it.
It looks really good.
So I'm building it myself.
Yeah,
so,
it looks great. It's not all the content's not there, but it's
a DIY project.
It's
you know?
sharp. It's real nice.
So it's shirtlabpro.com is the address. Tickets are on sale now if you want to go.
Yeah.
So really we're launching this in August. You're not going to hear anything about it till then.
Yeah.
And
you're not even launching the campaign until August.
We're still signing people up.
Okay.
This is super early.
So you guys are dude, this is like exclusive information.
So the tickets are on sale now. You can go buy them if you want. But for the month of August, it's $200 off registration. And in September, it's going to be $100 off. And if you wait till October, it's full price, which is $600. So for August, it's $400. September, it'll be $500. And October is $600. And then there's also, if you want a bigger experience, Saturday night after the event is a private dinner with all of the speakers.
Yeah.
And so there's probably only going to be about 20 people in the room, and you can hang out with all the speakers, and you can give them 8 million questions and talk about your shop and whatever.
Now, he didn't explain exactly kind of what your guys' premise
so what
is.
we're doing is this is kind of a workshop style hybrid TED Talk. Okay, this isn't a class where you just go and listen to somebody talk.
Yeah, someone drone on for hours.
So the value that we're going to be giving is there's 5 or 6 speakers. I'm still lining that up. But what we're going to be giving is each of the different topics is going to pick a participant out, and they're going to work on, for instance, my first guy speaking is a guy named Jay Bassell who lives here in Phoenix. And he's going to talk about branding and speaking from authenticity. Right, so you might get your logo redesigned or critiqued, and we can talk about that during his presentation if we pick you. All right,
there you go.
So what we're going to use is real shops getting real problems solved in the class.
That's amazing.
And there's going to be a workbook. There's all types of stuff that we're going to be giving. There's lots of value. There's other things that are happening.
So are you workshopping like each area you're going to workshop the same company or different?
No, different companies.
Like people out of the crowd.
Yeah, but we're doing it in advance, so we have time to look at what their problem is.
So there's like the profit.
Yeah, so there's a lead generation guy, there's a sales closing guy. Ryan Moore's doing a thing about doing video for your shop.
Nice.
I've got somebody doing promo and how to bundle. So for instance, somebody was talking about earlier about doing something for a school or like a marathon or something. So instead of doing just the shirts, how come you're not doing the banners and the posters and the numbers and the signs and the golf balls and the hats and just how to build all that? Okay, so they're going to show you how to do that. And then we also got somebody that's going to talk about, and there's a great book if you haven't read it called Blue Ocean Strategy, which is about how to invent your business so you don't have any competition. So there's a whole thing that's going to be on that. Okay, and so what's really great about this is that this is exclusive to the event Shirt Lab. So we're going to have a private Facebook group. If you go from then on, you're in the group. It's like the private club, right? And then we're also going to be doing a new podcast. I'm going to start a new podcast that's going to come out every week, and we're going to take a deep dive into one question, like how to do Google Analytics, or how to do Facebook Pixel, or how do you do cold calling, or how do you do Instagram.
Very business-specific stuff.
Specific to one question.
There you go.
And we're going to get the best person to answer that question.
So you got the thing and a podcast under that same that same moniker. Which is,
and then way down the road, we're going to start offering online classes where you sign up and you start getting lessons and you start doing stuff through an online lesson portal.
It's awesome.
But that's right now I'm just trying to get the first event launched. So that's
Yeah,
way down
one
the
thing
line.
at a time, man.
One
But it
thing at a
sounds,
time.
but you got cool shit cooking.
Yeah, so what we feel is the industry does a good job with education. There's plenty of magazines, there's plenty of resources like your show.
Yeah.
There's trade shows and everything, but we feel that if we created a better experience where it's not 500 people in the room, you know, it's very limited crowd size. It's personal. Somebody's going to help you out. There's a lot of interaction. There's great networking with other shops. And we're taking it all around the country. Okay.
Yeah.
So you don't. If you live in Florida, you don't have to fly to California to get the education.
Yeah.
You know.
That sounds amazing.
So this is kind of what we're doing, and that's what I've been working on pretty much extensively for the last couple weeks.
That sounds amazing, dude.
Yeah.
You're only 2 weeks in. I can't wait to see where you are a few months
Yeah,
in.
so it's pretty exciting. We're just starting to get sponsors now. And,
but it is happening. This
it's
is going
definite.
to happen. Good, man.
Yeah,
Well, that's
so,
beautiful. Well, and check it out. This ain't for me. This ain't for you. This is for me.
Oh,
I got
okay.
me a super chat here just for bringing you on. So
Oh.
you got me paid.
Oh, great.
Thank you, my friend. It's from P. Whoever P. Thanks. Anyway,
Great.
guys.
All right, what did he give you?
Give me a whopping $5, dude.
All right.
Just for hanging.
Woohoo.
Before we move on, it's Peter Bryant. Thank you, Peter, so much. That's amazing.
Good job,
man.
Peter.
That's so cool. Beers for your ideas.
Great.
And he's gonna get a beer after the show. He didn't want one before.
No.
Is there anything else though before we sign this off? I feel like there was something else you were taught that you had going on here. Is that it?
I'll be at the Fort Worth show, ISS Fort Worth. If
Okay.
you see me there, I'll also be at SGIA. If you see me there, I'd love to hang out, meet you guys.
Is it okay for him to come say hi to you?
Come say hi. Everybody does.
Okay,
you know?
good.
And I'd love to meet you, whoever, and read my blogs.
Yeah, you know what, guys?
and,
I mean, I read them all the time. You got it. There's a lot of information there, and at the end of it, like, again, I hate plugging shit, but
Yeah.
you can tell he puts a lot of time into it, and a lot of it's just a labor of love.
Oh yeah.
So it's a really neat thing. So please go check it out. Give him some support. I'm endorsing him, so you guys can endorse him too.
Right.
So that's really cool, man. Thank you so much for being on, Marshall. We actually don't have any more questions, dude. But everyone in the thing was just like, bro, thank you so much.
Hey, thank you, and I appreciate it. And you guys send me emails and stuff all the time. I appreciate that.
Really
if you want to email me, my email address is marshall@marshallatkinson.com. It's not too hard to remember.
Pretty easy. You get 2 L's on Marshall.
L's.
Otherwise, it's apparently he's the sheriff or some
Sheriff,
shit like
yeah.
that.
Marshall with 1 L is a sheriff.
Yeah.
2 L's is me.
Now, before we sign off, you guys know I got to do all my social shit. I saved it till the end this time. You're welcome. You're going to follow me at Cam Earven on... Well, actually, let's do you first because you didn't give any of your social shout-outs. Let's do that.
So, Twitter is Atkinson T-shirt. Instagram, remember, it's Marshall Atkinson.
It was actually Marshall Atkinson.
Yeah, and then you can find me on LinkedIn, and please like my Facebook page.
There you go. And that's Marshall Atkinson?
It's Atkinson Consulting.
Yep, you got it.
Yep, so...
almost stumbled on that one. Thank you.
Yeah.
And my turn. Okay, follow me at Cam Earven on Instagram and Twitter. If you haven't already, do it now. Subscribe to the Print Life podcast on iTunes and Google Play, because as y'all know, after this wraps, we then post it to Google Play and iTunes. So that's actually been taken off, you guys. It's been pretty good, and thank you. And don't forget to give me 5 stars on iTunes, and then say something nice. It's the least you can do. If you're watching this on YouTube, please hit subscribe, ding the bell, and watch as many of my previous videos as you can, because when you watch my stuff and comment, my subscribers go up, my likes go up, everything goes up, and I want to keep it growing, so please do that.
I was telling you earlier, last time I was here, you were just under 5,000, and now you're at 12 something.
Yeah, it's
and
funny,
so,
too, because I saw a big jump when the magazine article got posted.
Right.
Like, there's been little things that make it, but it's growing.
Right. Mm-hmm.
It's growing.
It's good.
We're still shooting for 20 subs by the end of this year. I need you guys to do that.
You need the every man get a man policy.
What is this?
So every single person who now follows you has to go out and recruit somebody to follow you. And that way, instead of 12, you'll have 24.
Did you guys hear that?
Every man get a man. Or every It could be a woman, but every person get a person.
Every person, go grab someone and get them to subscribe to my shit, please. Thank you. And if you're interested in being on this show, like Marshall was today, please direct message me on Instagram only, which means you got to follow me at Cam Earven on Instagram, just with the kind of business topic you might want to go over. Okay, so DM me on that, and we'll set some stuff up. That's pretty much it, Print Fam. So thank you so much for joining. This shit was awesome, bro. And thank you again for being my first guest.
Right, appreciate it, dude.
It was sick, dude. Yeah. We'll see you guys on the next one.
Thanks. See ya.
Peace out. That went well. That was really fun.
You off?
We're gonna be. Well, let me. Yeah, we're off. Dude, I didn't record the audio.